Good morning and welcome to the Up Zone, where understanding politics is made simple. We are your two hosts. I am Tisha S. Waddell, former city council member for the 3rd District in the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Mr. Elmer Floyd, former House Representative for the 43rd District in the state of North Carolina. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. We have been going through this for about 3 years. I don't know why you just don't want to give me my recognition as
I got
former
it now.
representative of the
I got it.
43rd District. I spent 12 years serving the people of this great community.
I
12
got it now,
years.
sir. I have officially landed in the territory of not jacking up your intro. Now, I might not get it right
No.
next week, but I got it right this week. Mr. Floyd, there's a lot that's going on in the landscape politically, but I would like to take a few moments, as we always do, and go through our announcements. And after you make your announcements, I have one little small tiny announcement that I want to make, but I want you to lay it out for us, what is happening in our community this week.
Well, but so far, as you know, Charles Evans is running for county board of commissioner very quickly. He's having his fundraiser at the VFW this coming Saturday at 4 o'clock. Peace Memorial, which is located on Common Street, is going to have their Christmas activity, and that's going to be at 4 o'clock. They're coming Saturday also. Sharon Harrison is going to have her Christmas party, and that's going to be at 6 p.m. at Peterkin on the 13th. And Kimberly Harding, that's running for the U.S. House, and Pat Timpson Goodson is having a fundraiser for her at 100 Hay Street. So if you want to participate and join in and supporting her, and then the Kiwanis this activity is going to be at Seabrook Rec Center, and that is December the 20. I think it's the December 27th, starting there. And then JJ is going to have his Christmas party, and that's going to be on December the 12th. Call JJ at the Fayetteville Press to get the information. There, it's going to start at 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and get the other information about the location and how you get in. That's the announcement, Tish. And
Okay, so
if you
my
can stop my creditors from calling me during the Christmas holidays, I can be a it'd be very joyful. I appreciate
I'm
it.
not even entertaining that. My announcement is I've launched a newsletter, Mr. Floyd. It's called In Case No One Told You. The newsletter is very leadership focused, and the first two issues are currently out. The first two issues recap the lessons that I learned in losing the election. And it's not a gripe fest because I don't have a gripe. I really feel like I've gained some very valuable lessons. And then the second issue talks about really being able to operate under pressure as a leader, and it addresses one of the questions that I got a few times over the course of my run for mayor, which was, why did I leave and how did I know that I needed to, and did I regret it? And so it's a really succinctly packaged good read. There's some room in there for just some development in terms of how you communicate. That's my niche: leadership development, communications, and brand design. That's the lane I really flourish in. And so,
All
Mr.
right.
Floyd, I'm really excited to have put this all
Well,
together and to share it with our audience.
can I ask you a question during this leadership
Absolutely.
thing? Then, but one thing would you do in your discussion that's important, man, and you all talk about it all the time, your faith.
Tell
When
me what
that
you mean.
portion of the meeting, well, when that portion of a meeting is done and someone is giving invocation,
Mr.
if
Floyd, we're
you'd
gonna
be so
talk about
kind, no, 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 I mean,
that.
it's a
I
moment that
think
you
it's
show a
very
sign.
disrespectful of reverence.
Okay, okay,
Of
okay.
reverence. And I think it's very disrespectful. And I'll tell you, communication is both verbal and nonverbal, Mr. Floyd. And people are not
Okay.
just watching what you say, they're watching what you do. And when you cannot master both of those elements, or at least be conscious or cognizant of both of them, your leadership is immature and not well developed, because you might say something, but subconsciously what you are showing people speaks much louder. So we're definitely going to talk more
Okay.
about that
Okay. I
as
just
the
want
show progresses.
Okay, then. Thank
No,
you so
I'm with
much,
it.
Miss
I'm with it.
Lynn.
That was a good question. That was a well-timed question, Mr. Floyd.
You know,
We do have a guest today. We have a special guest, Lynne Green, councilwoman, in her second term, serving the fifth district, is going to be our special guest today. She's scheduled to come on in about 10 minutes or so. So while we're waiting on that, I do want to just talk about a few things that are political adjacent. So I want to, well, I guess it's not political adjacent. It is actually political. But Mr. Floyd, the filing period has started, and you mentioned several people who have their names, who have already intimated that they're indicated that their names are going to be on the ballot. Well, it is time. The filing period has opened. As such, we've got a list. So I just want to run down very quickly the list of people who have already filed to run for office in Cumberland County for the 2026 elections. For the Board of County Commissioners, we have Charles Evans, who was filed on December the 1st, Tony Stewart, who was filed on December the 1st, both who previously served, and Greg West, who was filed on December the 3rd. Mr. West was school board, right?
he's still on the school board.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And he was at one point the chair of the school board. So
Yes,
that's a familiar name to all of us. All three of
and
those
he's
names have some.
always chair of the. He loved to be the chair of the finance committee of the school board.
Yeah, always be the chair where it matters, right? So for
Yes,
District 1, we have Sheila Cuffey has filed, and as we predicted on several of our earlier podcasts, Larry Wright also has filed. So that should be interesting. For the sheriff's office, we see Demetrio Perez has filed on December the 2nd. For the DA's office, we see that Billy West has filed on December the 2nd. For the clerk of Superior Court, we see that Lisa Scales, who is the incumbent, has also filed. For Superior Court Judge District 14B, Seat 1, Alicia M. Flowers. Superior Court Judge District 14C, Seat 1, Lou Oliveira. District Court Judge Tony S. King. District Court Judge Francis McDuffie Britt. District Court Judge Tryon Jamil George, District Court Judge Tracy L. Henderson, District Court Judge Sherry Seiler Mack, District Court Judge Rosalind Hood, District Court Judge Caitlin Evans have all filed. As of now, nobody has filed for Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor. For State Senate District 19, Val Applewhite is filed. For District 21, Paul Taylor, Tom McInnes, and Ray Daly have filed. Am I saying that last name correctly? Or is
say it
it
again.
Daly?
I think it's daily, I believe.
Okay. And then for District 42, nobody has filed as of yet. For District 43, we see Janine Ackles placed her name on the ballot alongside the incumbent Diane Wheatley. For District 44, Jackie Wahenmeyer has filed. And for District 45, we don't see anybody with their name on the ballot just yet. For United States Senate, Roy Cooper, Elizabeth Temple, Donald M. Brown, and Michael Watley have all placed their names on the ballot. For District 7, we have nobody who has filed yet. For District 9, Nigel Bristow and the incumbent Richard Hudson. Anita Earls has placed her name back on the ballot for the Supreme Court. Sarah Stevens has as well. And we have for the Court of Appeals John Arrowwood, Matt Smith, Michael Bryan, um, Tobias Hampson, and James Weldon, Christine Walzick, and Craig Collins. Those are the people. We're not going to do this every show. We're going to do this probably the first day, and then you guys can go and find it on in your own free copious time to see who is filed. But those are the names of the people to watch in this upcoming 2026 cycle so far. Not exactly sure which day filing closes. Let me check. Are you aware, Mr. Floyd?
I think it's the 17th or the 19th of this month.
Filing started. It ends on December the 19th at noon.
Okay.
The primary will be March the 3rd. The general election will be November the 3rd. So that's what we've got going on in terms of our state, our county, and nationally in terms of this election cycle. Mr. Floyd, what do you think are going to be the races to watch? I'm saying based upon our conversation last week, the sheriff's race is definitely going to be a race to watch. What are you thinking?
I think in the county board of commissioner is going to be because many people want to see a change in that in in that area. So I
Is it
think that
necessarily
those
that they want to see a change, or is it that because there is going to be a change? Because we know that it's very likely that Jeanette Council will not be seeking reelection, which means that her seat is going
well,
to be open. So for
they
Larry
want
Wright
to
and
they,
Tucker to be
they want to
running,
see a
they're going to need
change.
those
They want to see a change altogether with this with the vacancies that are now up for election.
for
And
grabs.
then when
Hmm.
we look at the U.S. Senate seat, we see a field of 10, and we see one Democrat, one Republican, and then we see about five unaffiliated organizations of individuals that's running. But I'm glad that it provide us a more of a balance to select the person that we want to represent
This is
in the
going
U.S. Senate.
and yes, yes,
Yeah,
and this
I'm more balanced than giving us, just this is the person that
take
as
it or
the
leave it.
As the African American community, they are saying that this is the person that we want. We don't have to worry about it because we know that that's where you are going to vote, 100%, because that person carries a D. But you're not looking at what has happened over the years as that person has carried a D as it relates to the African American candidates that have ran for statewide office. So that's
And
my
I
little
think
two bit.
absolutely. And I think, Mr. Floyd, when you talk about that county board of commissioners, this is a robust field of players. This is not similar to what we saw, and no shade, no disrespect to anybody who ran for office at the Fayetteville City Council level for mayor, but this is not what we saw in the mayoral race with a bunch of people who had no experience and no 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 real knowledge of what elected life holds. We've got some strong players lining up in this race. I think it's going to be definitely a race to what that at large seat and that district 1 seat are going to definitely
Mhm.
be seats to watch. These races are going to be very interesting.
Well, in the last race, Mrs. Jones and Mr. Fairclough did not really campaign,
Okay.
for those offices. They carried a D in front of their name. And like myself, I assisted them in getting elected because, well, other words, I gave them a lot of assistance there, which I would never
What do
do
you
in
think?
any election.
I know
I
that's
will
right.
never
What do
do
you
that
think are going
again.
to be the key topics to watch where the county is concerned? I know
Well,
that
all
there's a
of them
lot of
going.
talk from the chairman about the expansion of countywide water.
Well, that's going to be one, and they all of them talk about the homeless. They talk about education. There. I mean, and just the other day, someone filed a lawsuit in federal as it relates to education. So you know, that's going to be a topic. And then, quite natural, we got to address this convention center and what we're going to do with this beautiful parking lot. They offered to open it up, the allowed to go back and park
Yeah.
there. So we won't park on the hill where the dirt is, but if they open it up, we can walk through the clay and get to the courtroom, and that's going to be, one of the issues that is going to be there. And then two is how are we going to attract jobs for our meaningful paying jobs in our community. And I think that when we look at going forward, we can see that Godman and Falcon are going to be extremely important to Cumberland County as Cumberland County begin to grow because it has like a bedroom community to Raleigh. They are less
Yeah.
than 50 minutes away. So we need
Yeah.
to look at those two communities there. But that's how I see the upcoming election.
Mr. Floyd, a little birdie delivered a message from a current city council member indicating that that city council member asked that we not discuss them on our podcast.
Well, Tish, one thing that I learned from what's the gentleman name that
George,
now
not George Brees,
um, that works for the City
City View.
View.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, when he let the
His
guy
name will come to me in
make
a minute. Yeah.
Bill, is it Bill
Bill
Kirk?
Kirby.
Okay. Well, he made that announcement. He allowed the guy to make his statement. Okay. He allowed the guy, but then he said at the end, we don't write for you. We write about you. So
Right.
our
So
program,
Councilmember Brenda McNair, I do want to let you know I got your message, but we don't talk for you. We talk about what you're doing. So if you do great things, we're going to talk about the great things you're doing. And if you keep showing us that you are absent-mindedly showing up, we're going to talk about you absent-mindedly showing up.
well,
And if you use your
that
platform to publicly denigrate your peers, as I believe you did when you gave Mario Benavente his well wishes, or to express your very private feelings very publicly, we're going to talk about that because you are an elected official and you signed up for this. So if you want us to not talk about you, either do absolutely nothing, nothing good, nothing bad, or if you want what we say to be positive, show up and show out on this council and do great things. Show us that you're more than a rubber stamp this session, and show us that you're coming to work prepared and ready to do your job, and that you're really showing up in an engaged way. And I'll be
well,
happy to say
uh,
great things about you, because I don't have a personal dog in this fight. I'm only going to talk
well,
about what you give me.
one thing one person said to me is don't look at what the person is, show them, look at the outcome, and that's what I
Absolutely.
look at.
Yeah,
I
because
look
I
at
don't like,
the
because listen, like Mariah Carey said, I don't know her. So I can't talk about her personally because I don't know her, but I will absolutely every all 10 of the members on that board, and the members that are on the county commissioners, and anybody else in this community who serves in elected capacity, we are going to talk about the way you work, because our responsibility is to make understanding politics simpler. As such, Lynne Green is ready to join us. I'm going to read her introduction. I'm going to read her bio because I want to make sure that people know exactly who this is who's coming on to sit with us this morning. Now, Mr. Floyd, people probably don't know this about Miss Green, but she is a lifelong member of our community. I do believe she was born in Augusta, Georgia, but she moved here very young, and she has a multi-generational service history. And she's got a career that spans both public service, business ownership, and civic engagement. So she did move here at the age of 3. She, interestingly enough, people don't know this, but she's a graduate of E.E. Smith High School. She went on to earn her degree of arts in sociology and criminal justice from North Carolina State University, and has worked in the court, serving as the deputy clerk of court in the child support enforcement division. And she was also a part of Highland Lumber Company. Her family owned that. She served on the Public Works Commission, the Home Builders Association, and the Center for Economic Empowerment Development, aka SEED. She was a member of the Fayetteville Area Economic Development Corporation. She has the resume to back an understanding of what's happening both politically and economically in the city of Fayetteville. She's the president of the Airborne Special Ops Museum board, and she is represented to her second term in District 5. I am honored, Mr. Floyd, as I believe are you, to always have all of our guests join us. And we welcome Councilmember Lynne Green to our program this morning. So, good morning, Councilwoman Lynne Green. How are you?
Good
Can you hear us?
morning. I'm fine. How are you?
Doing
I can hear
fantastic.
you fine. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine. So before we get into the meat of what you may want to discuss with us, because I know I heard your speech, and there are some things that I definitely want you to kind of touch on that you talked about in your speech. But I want you, we're going to very quickly, because you're trending right now in the city of Fayetteville.
Oh,
Because
hallelujah.
because Councilwoman Green, you came out and you made a statement about your vote for Mayor Pro Tem, and I want to play the just a couple of minutes of the meeting so that we can catch our audience up to speed about how the vote took place, and then I want you to talk us through it from your perspective. Okay, so I
Okay.
am going to share my screen really quickly. You guys tell me. Let me make sure I got the right screen. You tell me when you're able to see what I've got pulled up, and we're going to and tell me if you can hear what I'm sharing. Allow. Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
I
I
can see
can
the
see the
screen.
screen.
Tell me if you can hear the audio.
I'll move to Councilmember DJ Hare.
Thank you. There we go. Is that on? Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I move that I nominate Councilmember Derek Fitzgerald Thompson for Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Hare. Is there a second?
Call for discussion.
Let me get the second. A second by Councilmember Hondros. Discussion. I'll go to Councilmember McMillan.
Call for discussion on the matter.
Discussion. You have the floor, sir.
Yeah. Prior to voting for the nominated official, I'd like to know if there are any other names that we should be considering tonight.
What's she say? All right, there's a motion on the floor, and we're in the discussion phase. Ms. McMillan, have you completed your
I
discussion?
can say more. Not comfortable with voting for the only choice without knowing if there are other choices possible.
Thank you. All right. Council, seeing no further discussion, the nomination's been made to nominate Councilmember Derek, I didn't know your middle name was Fitzgerald. Yes, sir. Thompson, for Mayor Pro Tem. It's been seconded by Councilmember Hondros. We've had discussion. Council, I'll look to you for your votes. Those in favor, show of hands. All right. Those opposed? All right. That motion carries 6-4. Those voting in opposition, Councilmember Hondros, McMillan, Green, and Jones. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem.
So the first question I want to ask you, Councilmember Green, was were you having a hard time hearing while you were sitting up there? Was the audio difficult for you all to hear?
I had no trouble hearing from where I was. And I don't know that you know this about me, but I don't hear well. I have tinnitus, so I have this constant ringing going on. Now, I don't know if it was the proximity of where I was sitting, that I was kind of in the middle, but I had no trouble hearing at all.
Okay.
I will tell you that when the voice was heard from that evening, not from the audio, it was clear in the audio to me that it was Councilmember McMillan. When it was spoken that night, I thought it was Councilmember Hondros saying, I thought he said, I will second for discussion.
Mhm.
So I think what happened was Councilmember Hondros said second, Councilmember McMillan said call for discussion about the same time. And for me, it all seemed like it
Came
came from
together.
Councilmember Hondros.
Okay. So one of the things that we then observed, and Mr. Floyd and I have been putting our heads together trying to figure out how something like this transpired. So what we saw was after this vote, we heard some jeers, not cheers, from the audience. And then we heard the closure of the meeting, and we went on about our merry ways, the vast majority of people. And the next day, we were notified via the City View Today that Dino Hondros had gone to the clerk at the conclusion of the meeting and had indicated that he wished to change his vote because he could not hear properly and intended to vote affirmatively for Derek Thompson. Now, Lynn, Councilwoman Green, I'm sorry for being too familiar.
Lynn's fine.
Okay, because we have a
Yeah,
relationship.
I am not about titles, so you're fine. Lynn is fine.
Thank you. So then one of the things that really stood out to me in that was in the very first meeting of this new council, the very thing that the community has been railing against is the exact thing that has transpired. And it gives us limited hope because everybody has been talking about how we need transparency, we need transparency, we need transparency. How transparent is it for a council member after a public vote to be able to go privately and change their vote? And not only how transparent, but is it in alignment with council policy?
Well, I don't think it bodes well for any of those things. And I can't imagine that it would be in line with any kind of policy of anything. City, state, council. I mean, let's just think about that a minute. Seriously, let's talk about it a minute.
Let's talk about it.
Because it blows my mind. Because what if I decided tomorrow that last week's vote, I didn't mean to do it that way, or something happened and I said, let's just change my vote? Well, is that really part of the democracy and the democratic process? Not in this lifetime, not in the lifetime I've grown up in. What maybe should have occurred if Councilmember Honjos truly felt this way. I haven't had conversation with him, so I'm not going to speak to what happened as far as him either changing it or it wasn't what he intended, whatever the case may be. I have serious concerns over the fact that it was just changed and
Right.
that we didn't, to me, at the very least, if the vote was something that he felt strongly should be changed, because that wasn't his intention and he didn't hear, it should go to the January meeting and go through proper channels where we agree and there's a formal agenda item and there is a formal discussion, and then there are proper channels to go through it. I am not sure
Absolutely.
that proper channels were done, and I'm not sure
So,
there are channels to change a vote.
so let me share
They
with
are
you one of the
channels. They
things.
are. Let me say this. Let me say they are channels to change the vote, if I
Right.
may.
And I
One
want to share.
is
Go ahead,
that
Floyd.
one is that he was not on the prevailing side for a reconsideration of the vote that was taken. Since he seconded the vote, he can ask DJ Hare, which was on the prevailing side, to ask that that vote be reconsidered,
But
going through whatever your decorum. Yeah,
that
but
only
going through
happens
whatever
in the
decorum
meeting.
that know what I'm saying? He can do that after the meeting and ask him, as you mentioned, Mr. Green, is to have that vote to be reconsidered and do it the correct way. Because at that meeting that night, the mayor said very clearly to us that the meeting is adjourned. Now, during the voting process, it is the chair's responsibility to repeat the motion showing that members of that body can hear and understand the matter in which they are voting on. Now, having said that, the mayor then had the responsibility to announce the outcome of the vote, which was 6-4. If you look at the Favorite Observer had that he did not vote for the nominee because he was doing some paperwork. In the in City View, it showed that he had raised his hand for against. Okay, so in order to correct that, to provide transparent going forward in the new council, follow the proper call, and that is what you just mentioned, is to have that vote reconsidered. It won't change the outcome, but
Won't
to
change
have
the
that
outcome.
vote to be reconsidered and done the proper way, so that this community can see that transparency will be part of the council agenda going forward. Once that meeting is adjourned, that is the end of
Of
that
that matter.
meeting. It's the end.
Right. And Mr. Floyd, to your point, let me say this. And Lynn, you guys do have a frame of reference that's very recent that you can point back to, because we found ourselves in this situation with Councilmember Banks McLaughlin with the dismissed charity vote. She came out of that vote and indicated that she misunderstood her vote and that she wanted to change her vote. She was notified by then city attorney McDonald, that the process for that was to have somebody, you had to come back into a meeting, you had to ask for it to be placed on the agenda, which meant that you need a supermajority vote to have it placed back on the agenda. And then you had to, after you got the supermajority vote to have it placed back on the agenda, then you could have another vote. But there's no world, as you've identified, where you just get to go, oh, I changed my mind. That's not how I wanted to vote. So all that aside, because as Mr. Floyd said, it wouldn't change anything.
It didn't
We,
change a thing.
right, right. So, which is interesting because if I were him, I probably would have just left well enough alone. But one of the things that I observed when I went back and watched the video was that during the
Invitation.
during the benediction, there
Diction.
appeared to be several members of council who were, you, by the way, thank you for actually taking a moment and reverencing the fact that there was prayer going on. You bowed your head and you could tell that your eyes were closed. And whether you were sitting there napping or praying, we won't ever know. But you were in a posture of respect.
Tisha, you
As we
know me well enough to know what I was doing.
I know, I know. As we went down the line, I observed many members of council, one of them like this texting, but it appeared as if there was another member of the board who had his head down. And my experience of this member is that when they're in this posture, they're usually texting. Now, if you all recall, we talk about making understanding politics simpler. Mr. Floyd, the person who made the second, so let's lay it out very quickly. This moved fast. It moved fast. So when they sat down, Mayor Colvin immediately knew who he was going to go to for the motion because they had
Always.
already discussed this. They had already talked about it. They had their six before they ever walked into that room. Okay. They got to six and stopped counting. Lynn, did you ever get a call about Mayor Pro Tem about who you should support, or was there ever a huge discussion with you about how it should go?
There wasn't much discussion. I mean, I will tell you that Mayor Pro Tem Thompson did call me. He indicated he was out of town and had meant to call me earlier, dealing with the death of his sister, which I can certainly understand. Y'all remember I went through 3 major deaths in my family at the end of 2024, and it is hard to manipulate what you're trying to do and maneuver through all of that as well. And then added to the fact that she lives somewhere else, in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania somewhere. So he did indicate that that was his reason for calling me so far into the process. And I think it was that Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we had a brief conversation, and I told him that I understood prior to that that he was interested in being mayor pro tem, and I understood that he was pretty much the mayor's choice, and that I would pray over it because I
Okay.
wasn't completely comfortable.
And we heard in that meeting, Mr. Floyd, you will recall, I told you on our podcast, I heard Dino Hondros refer to Derek Thompson as Mayor Pro Tem elect. So that was a full week in advance. So they had already had this worked out. So the way that my experience of how Mitch moves is he'll know who to go for. They will already say, you're going to make the motion, you're going to second it, and then we're going to vote. This keeps things moving so that you don't have an opportunity for what Sean did. Okay. So what happened is we saw DJ make the motion. Sean called for discussion. Councilmember McMillan called for discussion. When that happened, you got your second from Dino Hondros. They went back to Councilmember McMillan for discussion. And interestingly enough, what you saw was dismissiveness because, and see, Councilmember McMillan is going to have to get up to speed. And I believe that if anybody can, he can. But this is what should have happened. When he called for discussion, instead of calling for discussion, he should have as he called for discussion, he should have said who he would like to nominate. So
And
in the
that's what
midst of
I
him
kept waiting.
saying,
I kept waiting for that. I was like,
right,
say who it is you want. I knew there were 2 other people that were interested in Mayor Pro Tem. And just so I've gotten it out there to everybody, I was interested in Mayor Pro Tem position. I I made that clear months ago.
what did I
During
tell you when you said that to me? What did I tell you? Be honest. Tell the people what I
you
told you.
said you do not want that.
And why did I tell people that? Tell them why I said it. I don't mind.
You told me that I did not want to be Mitch's second.
You don't want to fall into the rut that we
Right.
saw Mayor Pro Tem Jensen fall into. Floyd, what is it now? Now, fast forward. Let's fast forward because there's other stuff I want you to talk about. All of that panned out. You get a call from City View today. What did you tell them? Why didn't you vote for Derek Thompson? Because this is exactly what I mean when I say this is what you didn't want to be. What did you tell them?
I told them that the first thing I told them was that he was not, I did not feel that he was an independent thinker, that I felt that there were too many times where he voted um, just the way that the mayor voted, and that I preferred someone who could have an independent thought. And I was concerned that it would just be a rubber stamping. And and I don't know that I didn't use the rubber stamping word, but we all understand what that means. That means that no matter what the mayor wants, council member, now Mayor Pro Tem Thompson, would just be an okay. He has made that abundantly clear for the last 2 years. He will even say to me, well, I vote with the mayor. If it's the mayor's goal, it's my goal. And I'm always taken aback a little bit because that's not what I was elected for. I
At
was
all.
elected to think through things and to make decisions based on what my constituents want and to look at the city as a whole. And I have voted against some things and for some things that I'm sure my district on a whole may not have liked. And I have owned it. And I've always tried to say, this is why I'm voting this way.
Mhm.
Please understand. And I've also said things like, personally, if Lynn Green were casting this vote for only Lynn Green,
I would
I
not
would
do
not
this.
vote for this. But my constituents want it, and they elected me to vote for them. So
So
that's what
we
I
can
have to
expect
do.
from, absolutely. So what we can expect, I believe, from Mayor Pro Tem Thompson is to be a continuation of what we observed over the last few years where Mayor Pro Tem Jensen was concerned, where they will be in lockstep. He's and we are going to have to really figure out what this 6-4 is going to look like, because I don't think that, even though Dino did this, and I don't know why, I'd be interested to hear. I don't think that he's going to be a flunky for the constant 6-4. I think that there's going to be those who are always going to be in that camp. I don't think he's going to be one of them. Now, what I will say is, Mr. Floyd, we're gonna have to watch and see. Lynn, you talked about something in your inauguration that jogged my memory, and me and Mr. Floyd have been watching this for a long time. Let's talk about this fire station, because I had completely forgotten, and I don't know if anybody's going to really understand how big this is, but you ought to. When you came on the board, like relatively new in your position, you were the catalyst for stopping the work at fire station number, I want to say 4,
It's
or is it 14?
no, it's
One, it's the one.
4, or
It's
it's
4.
4. I get
So,
fire station 4 and 6 in my head mixed up for
see,
some
and for me,
reason.
it's 4 and 14. But you were single-handedly the force behind bringing to the attention of the council that there was a problem with Fire Station 4. And I remember it because you got pushback. You got pushback. And I believe that had you not stood your ground, we would have had a completed Fire Station 4 that would have been crumbling within just a few years. So remind us about that, and why was it important for you to bring that up during your speech?
So interestingly enough, it came on the agenda. I pulled my notes. Y'all should know that I am like a copious note taker. So when I'm sitting up there and my head is down, I'm not texting. I am taking notes. And I made it clear during a meeting, interestingly enough, about the people that come and speak in public forums. Because as you know, Tisha, we get that list of who's speaking. And I'll make a note if they're not present. I just put NP, that they didn't show up. And if they're speaking and there's always a category over there telling me what they're talking about, I make notes about what they said, because it's important to me to go back and be able to reference something that might come up later.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of these folks are very in tune. Some of them are just pushing an agenda, but a lot of them are very in tune with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, as with that, when I started reviewing the agenda item came on as an adoption of a capital project ordinance amendment. So I started reading this ordinance amendment, and fire station number 4, they wanted to move $1.5 million out of the general fund into this project because they found out some of the subs had not been paid and they were upset about that. And I can't recall exactly the number, and I didn't have it anywhere in my notes because I think it didn't come out until later. But
Mm-hmm.
there was also an additional 300,000, I think, that would have made it 1.8 million. So there was like 300,000 that was in another project that didn't get used. So they were going to move that money into the fire station project. And then there was 1.5 million that they were requesting that night on the agenda out of the general fund. So as I was reading it, I'm like, wait a minute, what? I mean, we were already over. I'm looking at my notes because I want to get the percentages right. So the project, interestingly enough, started in May of 2022. It actually started in June of 2019.
Okay.
And it was a project that was $8.3 million. In May of 2022, it moved to 11 million. Basically, they said because of COVID, because of material cost, which is reasonable to a degree. But anyway, we're not going to
Mm-hmm.
debate that today. 32% increase right there. So as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking 1.5 million, that's another 17%. What are they doing? What is going on? If we keep at it like this, we're going to be, I think that made it 48% over budget. So I'm like, if we keep on with this, we're not even finished and we're going to be over 50% over budget. What is going on?
Mm-hmm.
So we already knew that the architect had stopped the project. So if everybody remembers, the architect stopped the project. He stopped the project because of what he did not feel was correct workmanship. He believed there were some errors and he halted the project. In that halt, the contractor was notified, and the contractor, um, I guess it just everything stopped because we weren't moving forward until we got answers.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to the dinner meeting that night, the infamous dinner meetings, um, I asked, has this gone to, has the bonding company been notified that this project is halted? And they said, well, they have, but the contractor believes that the architect is being unreasonable. I said, what? Well, I mean, okay, so what? Where's the surety? Where is the bonding company? And then somebody asked about, well, is the bond good?
Yeah,
And I said,
because they already
yes.
knew
Well,
they were having
right,
bond problems.
right. I said, don't confuse the issues. This is not a contractor that went awry. This is not a bond that doesn't exist. This is a bond that totally exists. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bond that totally exists. So we need to call in the bonding company.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, upstairs, nobody seemed concerned. So I said,
So
well, I'm
Lynn, what do
pulling
you
it.
feel? Go ahead.
So I said, I'm pulling it when we get downstairs. I'm going to ask the same questions, and I'm not voting for this. I want a separate up down vote. They said, okay. So we went downstairs. I said the same thing downstairs that I said upstairs. I asked staff the same questions. They came to the podium. We went through it. And honestly, I was shocked when the vote went through as it did.
Yeah,
Because
they didn't have a
then the
choice,
mayor was
Lynn. They didn't
clearly
have a
shocked.
choice. Yeah,
The
they didn't
mayor
have a
was
choice.
clearly shocked because I remember distinctly, the mayor looked at me and he went, wow. And then he made a statement that prior to that, he made a statement that he was going to have to vote to move the money because the project needed to move forward. He and I think it was Council Member Thompson and Council Member, I'm not sure who they were. I know Council Member Hare, Council Member Thompson, and it seems like there was, I can't remember if the vote was 7-3 or 6-4, but either
Yeah.
way, there were several of them that voted against my motion to halt the project.
Well, we appreciate you because we see that that project still hasn't resumed. And Mr. Floyd, you had a question about some lawsuits, some fees. What was your question?
Lynn, given I think the 6 or 7 projects, now when we have to address these projects, it's not the city attorney that represents the city, per se, or the city hire outside attorneys to assist them.
Correct.
So it seems to me that looking at all these projects, some kind of way, we are paying a lot of legal fees, as it relates to these projects. Off top of your head, how much have these projects have cost the city as it relates to legal fees?
Honestly, I don't know that number, but
Okay.
I would agree with you. I mean, there is outside legal counsel involved every time, and we all know that just, with general assumptions, legal expenses are not cheap in
Yes.
any situation. And so we've had several of these going on.
Well, let me say this, and there's a project. If I can, just think about it. If you can call Teach and let her know that you all have spent $1.6 million on legal fees handling these matters. That's just a conversation. But the concern that I have, and you mentioned it, and I wanted to ask one of your colleagues that I wanted to talk with you about that, and that was the project that occurred on Murchison Road that you indicated that that was not the purpose of the city purchasing that land to put affordable housing and housing that would not be owned or by individuals. Uh, just, I mean, I know that is that you all consider a priority, but then that's uh, where you're heading towards is $100 million organization, which is Fayetteville State. Okay. Now you have one housing project, I call it a project, whatever, right on the other side of the Martin Luther King Bridge. And now you're going to put another one right at that gateway of $100 million organization. It seems like the city ought to be trying to improve the appearance entering to Fayetteville State, the gateway, to attract more opportunities. So I just want to commend you on, on that.
Yeah, you earned points with Mr. Floyd when he read your
It just,
I
the
mean,
project moved too fast. I mean, Mr. Floyd, I think you're 100% right. I felt like the project moved too fast. I said that in my council comments that night. It felt rushed. I understand that it was kind of what we heard out of Murchison Choice comments back to us why we didn't get the money was because we did not have another housing project to point to that was a success. So, in that, I think this was their let's go back and get something so we can point to as a success. But to me, that was not the spot. I, I thought that prior to me coming on council, I heard um, Chancellor Allison say repeatedly that he wanted that Cat 1 site for the gateway into Fayetteville State. And for me, I mean, y'all know, I grew up on Murchison Road, going up and down Murchison Road. I mean, that's home to me. I mean, truthfully, I didn't live there, but I was at Smith. I did stuff at Fayetteville State all the time. It's just like a second home to me. I'm there now renovating houses over in Broadell. So I, I just, for me to ride past there every day and have homes there that they would never be able to own because they'll be attached to rentals, isn't the type housing that I would choose to put there. If you were going to put housing there, I still don't think, I'm going to stand by what I said. I still don't think that it's the best place for housing. I'm concerned that even though some of the flooding issues were addressed when they redid the land, I'm still concerned that there are low-lying areas in that property. Look at Mount Sinai right across. I mean, historically, that area has flooded, and it may not flood again in our lifetime. Who knows? But I do have concerns, and maybe, as I said the other night in council, maybe the houses won't flood, but what happens when the streets are flooded and you can't get to your house? So there are a lot of concerns to me around that project. I work in that world. I do a lot of development um, looking at different sites and different places to renovate. I prefer to renovate, truthfully.
Well,
It's just where my it's where my
well, let me
my
say this, Lynn.
artistic side of my brain gets to come out.
Let
Um,
me say
I
this to
don't.
you, if
Yeah.
I may, if I may. The city staff worked very closely with the I'm gonna use the word the Murchison Road Improvement, whatever the name that they had, for 2 years. For 2 years that they applied for the grant. They received a call that Thursday indicating that they was going to bring this project to the city council on that Monday. They did not have an opportunity to participate in the process, but the city staff used them for 2 years of the process. But the one that y'all received last, and this is one thing that I think that the manager need to have a much more control over the staff. They did not even call the ambassador for the project. She was informed by
And that would
Zoom.
be Cynthia Leaks, right?
That would be Cynthia Leaks, and
No,
Cynthia and I are very good friends, and they did not call her.
they did not know about it until that Thursday. See, so this is what I'm talking about, Miss Green, is that transparency on the part. And you talking about a 5:30 meeting. What you are going to get at the 5:30 meeting is the staff presentation for lazy council members who don't want to read their package and say that I don't have to read my package. I'm going to hear in there from the
That's
expert
right.
team, which is the staff. Now the staff is the one that create the Muhammad situation by not properly vetting his bonding. It wasn't the council. The council based upon the staff recommendation. And I give you an example, and I'll be quiet. We had a zoning matter. We had a zoning matter, and I read the report from the zoning uh, uh, persons, the zoning department, whatever you call it. I was just amazed. He didn't even mention that the zoning committee or commission denied the zoning request. So when you got it, you would assume, even on the council agenda, if you didn't read your packet, you would assume that that the zoning commission approved the zoning request. This is what I'm saying is that the manager got to hold his staff accountable when he bring recommendation to you, the council, to make decision. He got to do that. I mean, because the staff that I seen, I'm totally disappointed. And how in the world could you see a project? Now, my last statement, and I'll be quiet, is that they made a statement. We only paid for the work that was done. Remember that now.
Speaking about the
We
projects, the
only
failed Muhammad
paid,
projects.
yeah,
Right.
we only paid for the work. But common sense would say if you behind schedule, you are not paying for the work that was done. You behind schedule. And
I
so
have a
you have a good you have
no.
you have a
I was just
task
gonna say I have a
before
question.
you. Whew. I never
And I
think,
think
you know,
that's a good segue point because the who is exactly where I want to pick up. Lynn, we are and transparently, you and I we have conversations offline, and a lot of what we talk about is what we talk about. I want to share with our audience something that I said to you because I want to ask you your take on how I feel. I shared with you that starting in my first term on the Fayetteville City Council, after the debacle happened with Councilmember Williams, I instantly saw a shift in the perception of the prestige of the working board that has consistently declined. So very succinctly, the Fayetteville City Council has lost um, its status in the community, and a lot of people view some of the members as still esteemed members, but look at the board as a general in general as a laughing stock. And for me, that was very frustrating. And it was one of the things that always compelled me to want to clean up processes, to make sure that we adhere to policy, and to get things in order on our board so that we could restore the confidence of our community and our ability to get work done. As you go into your second term and you are dealing with these nuances now that you can now see in your second term, specifically where the um, the community's perception is being affirmed and validated through the way that some members of the board are moving. What do you think we are in store for over the next 2 years? And what's important to you as you move forward? So, what do you think is going to be done well? What do you think we need to be aware of? How can we support change? And where are we and what do we do, Lynn? What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Good questions. My first response is, who knows?
Who knows?
Till tomorrow, because the answer might be one thing today, and tomorrow it could be totally different. I mean, um, I think first of all, for me, I'm just going to be honest and candid because that's just who I am. I, I didn't feel like I even knew what I was doing until about year 1.5. You are so lost in the process and you're just trying to make sense of what comes in front of you, and you're trying to figure out who will help you and who will guide you correctly, because there are those who will not help you and will not guide you correctly, and smile in your face and stab you in the back with
In your
that knife
back.
and twist it.
Mhm.
So, um, I will tell you that I felt like I had roadblock after roadblock after roadblock with everything I tried to do. Only through the grace of God did I get anything done. Because honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. And Tisha, I've said this to you. I would not be here in this position if it were not for the fact that I believe God has put me
You are
in this
called to it.
position and
That's
has
right.
called me, and that I have been anointed to serve in this position.
That's right.
And otherwise, I could go do something that I really like doing because some days I just don't like this job. Uh,
And it's
I
not the
mean,
work, it's the people you work with. It's not the work.
it's constant. It's not the work. It really
Mhm.
is the constant struggle of why do I, okay, I'm just going to use this as a, because I honestly want this out there. This is something near and dear to me. And,
Talk about
and
it.
if this helps me get it out there, great. Because then if it happens without me, y'all will know that it was my idea. Because I
Right.
am tired of my ideas being taken and not pushed forward by whoever is stalling them. I mean, I
Right.
feel like my pastor and his wife and my pastors as a whole at my church have prayed words over me for God ideas and supernatural God ideas. And I feel like I've had those, but then they get pushed back because somebody else runs them as theirs.
Yeah.
And it's not about Lynn Green. I could care less about my name being in the front of it.
Yeah.
But then when my constituents are looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, this was my idea. So I'm going to give you a for example. Um, and I could talk about this all day.
Well, we
So let
only
me,
got about 3 more minutes, so
I
give
know.
us our for example.
So there is
We
land.
can have you back again, though, Lynn. You can come back
Okay.
again.
There is land on the corner of Blunt Street and Gillespie Street. Okay. Gillespie, I perceive as a corridor. How about y'all?
Hmm.
Isn't that a
Absolutely.
corridor into our city? It's a corridor into
Absolutely.
downtown, runs right into the market house. Like it or not, the market house is there and it kind
It's
of
here to
defines
stay.
the corridors. Okay.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to debate the market house with anybody today. It is what it is. Um, and so we, when that property came up, the city owns all of that property right there. My business is in the middle of Blunt Street. My family has owned that property since before the company was started in 1919. Highland Lumber Company was built there in 1956. I don't know exactly when the land was purchased, but the business in Fayetteville was started in 1919. So somewhere from 1919 to 1956, that property developed as Highland Lumber Company. So that has been in my mother's family since then. So I own that property now outright. So I have all kinds of ideas for that property. But short of just turning it into a project for the city, which I'm sure I would meet resistance somehow, I prefer that corner piece. So recently we had an opportunity to submit a proposal as part of in a fund at Cumberland Community Foundation that came through somebody's will, $4 million to establish a park within 5 miles of the market house. So I teamed up with a group and kind of brought it to them, and I'll tell you who it was because I don't think he'd care. It was Carl Manning at Kingdom Development
Love
because it
him.
had to be
Yeah.
a nonprofit. So I found out Carl had already done a request and had some work done for that same piece of property. So I just went back to him and said, hey, let's tweak this, add some things to it that I hear the community is wanting, and let's submit it with the additional property that maybe we could obtain being part of the park project and lumping a housing project with a park and see if we can't do an option to purchase the property on Gillespie Street where there are some abandoned things, there's some flood zone, but we know we can put a park in a flood zone.
Right.
And it was not actually a flood zone, it's just a flood plain. It's in the 500-year floodplain. So we went through this process. We found out we only had like 2 weeks to submit it. They said, submit your best proposal. We did what we could. They have not made a decision on that yet, to my knowledge. But in the same time frame, I went to city staff and the city manager and I said, hey, we're in the middle of doing this, and I'd really like to, if this does not get the funding, can we just really look at doing this same idea there? We found two of the owners of the property that was floodplains were potentially willing to donate the land to a nonprofit to make that happen. So we've done a lot of the work already. So this is something that it may not provide 100 homes, but it would provide homes that could continue to be a connectivity to downtown in a
And green
corridor,
space.
and they would be owned. You know, some of them would be, most of them would be owned. There was some discussion about some rentable townhouses or rentable apartments, but that would morph as we move forward. But we're not talking
Absolutely.
about building 80 homes that none of them would ever be able to be homeowners.
Yeah.
The
So what
project
I
is
need you to do, you need to
homeowner.
keep us posted on the trajectory of that. So as that unfolds, make sure you let us know. And I know there's going to be some questions that accompany that. So viewers, if you have questions, send them to us and we'll make sure we get them to Councilwoman Green. In 30 seconds or less, what are your priorities for this term?
Really, honestly, despite the fact that I voted against Mayor Pro Tem, I am more than willing to vote to work with him alongside him. He does have good ideas. I do believe he wants the betterment of this city to move forward. So my priority is continuing to be transparent. I'm going to be louder and more vocal than I was in the last 2 years because why not? I don't have anything to
Absolutely.
lose,
Nothing
and
to
I owe
lose.
it to my voters.
Well,
Lynn,
we thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
as
Floyd.
we close, I think that whatever procedures you all have for governing the council meeting, if you want to call it your rules or whatever, that you just quit feeding yourself at 5:30 and discussing the agenda there. That you do it at home prior to. And the second thing is that you know, as a member of the General Assembly and watching the United States Congress, they say that you have to be present in order to cast a vote, present and in place. And if not, you either excuse or you are absent. I just don't understand how in the world can you have a Zoom meeting, and then if you're not present or if you walk out the room or somebody, you all vote for me, which I may be against that project. Okay. But in the General Assembly, they say our rule, if you are in the chamber, you must vote yay or nay. I don't see how. So what you're telling me that I can have a job in Raleigh and have 26 Zoom meetings instead of being present at the council. Okay, that I can attend the 26 council meeting and all other meet Zoom. Thank you so much, Lynn. That's my little soapbox.
Lynn, we'll definitely invite you back.
Thank
Thank you for
you, Mr.
coming on
Floyd.
and do great work. I'll be praying for you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're so
Talk
welcome. Have a
soon.
And I'm gonna
great
I
pray for
appreciate
day.
you,
it.
and I'm gonna pray for you twice.
Thank you. All prayers appreciated.
Okay.
Absolutely. As long as they go up to Jesus and to God in Jesus' name. Have a great
Exactly.
day, Lynn.
Thanks. Y'all too.
Okay, so Mr. Floyd, very quickly, I do want to take a moment just to congratulate Commissioner Deviere for his second term as the board chair for the Cumberland County Commissioners. It was a historic moment. It has never happened before that a person would be chair back to back. Commissioner Adams did express some contention about that issue because he said, "Hey, let's stick to the historical way that we've always done this," which would have meant that Veronica Jones would have become the chair and they would have selected a new co-chair. Veronica Jones is still the co-chair, so she is still in the position of co-chair. And interestingly enough, we did see Henry Tyson and Pavan Patel vote no, and then they offered as their reasons they did not want to appear to be putting their foot on the scale in terms of her reelection. I assure you, gentlemen, it would not have been perceived as such. Nobody's even paying attention to that degree. It would have just meant that you felt like she was doing a good job and that she could continue as chair. It creates more questions that you voted no and offered the statement that you offered, but I understand because that may have been the strategy. But Mr. Floyd, you have anything to add before we get ready to close out?
You just mentioned tradition. I mean, what has happened in the past. Normally, on the city council, if there's a black mayor, usually the mayor pro tem is of the other zip
I
code.
tried to
So
tell you
have a
that
good
wasn't
week.
going to be the case, but you didn't want to
But I'm
listen
just
to
saying,
me.
no, I'm just you. I mean, you just mentioned tradition, so that's what has happened, in the past.
There is no
But
white person on this council that would have operated like a Kathy Jensen or a Derek Thompson. And you got to understand, I think there's a lot riding on information not being made public. And so I think that it behooves the mayor to keep somebody in
I,
that position who he understands that he can exercise some control or some
well,
manipulation over.
I don't blame the mayor for
I don't
what
blame
he's
him either if
doing.
that's his
You
MO.
must form a
It's
team.
bad
You must
leadership.
form a team. Yeah, you
It's
must form a
horrible
team.
leadership.
Well, he formed a team, and he got a team, and the voters from that district allowed him to use his members, the
Mr. Floyd,
person
if
that
you
they
wanted a
vote.
good
So have a
baseball
good
team,
week.
if you wanted a winning baseball team, would everybody on your team just be a good pitcher or just be a good batter? Or would you want a team who could pitch, who could bat? Like you had a strong pitcher, a
Yeah,
strong
I mean,
batter,
I,
a
I
strong
understand.
catcher.
I understand all that, but I have to build a team with multiple experience. And
Yeah.
once I build that team, and you got to give the mayor credit. I mean, we see
I
at
don't
the
have to.
polls.
You
No,
can.
no, no. But at the poll, I saw person running for council. Okay, also running for themselves, and also running and announcing vote for the mayor. So
Brenda
come
McNair.
on.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
not
So
not
with
on
that,
the not on the Brenda,
oh
but there was
yeah,
some
yeah,
other council members doing
yeah,
that. So I
yeah.
don't blame the mayor. I mean, I salute him for that, but you have to look at the overall picture for the city. So have a good weekend, Tisha.
Absolutely. You want to tell anybody about that dog today?
But my dog, no, my dog is just tired. My dog didn't even want to eat a chicken drummet. Just tired and confused after he sat in the car and waited for me after the city council meeting. He had an opportunity to review it from the car, and he didn't even bark when I came to the car.
And
He was
he has
just
no bones to
frustrated.
carry or bring back, does he?
No, no, he was just
That's
tired.
it.
He
That's it.
didn't.
And
He didn't. He didn't even lick me.
I'll just say there's no justice apart from righteousness, no righteousness apart from Jesus. So if you want justice, if you seek justice, seek Jesus and his righteousness. And there you have it. Have a wonderful day. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Next week, we're going to have County Commissioner Kirk Deviere, chairman of the board, on our show. He'll be coming on to share with us what we can expect from this next part of his term, his tenure. And listen, I believe if the Lord says the same, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Yeah.